Sales people are as good as the leader. And if you have a good leader, somebody who's really there to support them and support the company, you'll have a good sales staff. It's like a team effort, and they want everybody out, and she knows how to knock. So I brought her in. Part of the job, I made her a general sales manager because she can teach these people how to knock. She can teach them how to sign a deal. She can motivate them and keep them motivated, and she can be in the office every day following up on their open invoices and making sure that they're doing what they need to do.
Welcome, guys, to the Rewind podcast. We have a little intro for a special guest, someone that we look up to. So today's episode, we have a heavy hitter from right here in the Denver roofing scene. He's the kind of guy who doesn't just build roofs, he builds teams, trust, and a reputation that speaks for itself. From the grinding in the field to leading precise roofing with clarity and conviction, he stayed true to his vision while navigating the chaos of entrepreneurship. We're excited to sit down with Ben, the owner of Precise Roofing, to rewind his story, how it started, what he's learned, where he's headed next. If you're in the trades or building your own roofing company, this episode's for you. So, yeah, we'll jump right in. It's been a while since we've done a podcast with just about, I think, like 2 months or something like that.
It's been a while, yeah.
So thank you, Ben, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited. I enjoy this opportunity.
Yeah, we were actually in a really good talk before this, and hopefully we can transition the whole conversation over. So just a little background. I met Ben through a mutual connection. We were in a little scramble with a project that we had in Denver. And I remember getting on a phone call with Ben on a 3-way call and basically asked for help. And he basically was like, I don't even know you, dude, but I got you. Let's figure it out. And ever since, we've built a pretty solid relationship where they've pretty much become a mentor of mine, teaching us about the process in the roofing industry and whatnot. Just walk us through a little bit of your background. I mean, where you come from, your story essentially is what.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one of my best friends. I used to mow lawns for him when we were younger, and he had a little van called Molo. On the weekends, we would mow lawns, and then he got a job after high school working for a roofing contractor. And one day he came home because I used to rent. He bought his first home when he was like 16 too. So I used to rent from a room from him, and I was living with him in his house and going to high school. And one day he came home and was like, "Yeah, I just bought this van," and he had it all wrapped and stuff. And he's like, "I traded in my GTA. It was this beautiful white Trans Am with gold rims and stuff." And well, anyways, long story short, he started a roofing company, so I started roofing for him. And I owe a lot to him because he's the one that brought me into this industry. Mm-hmm. And he was one of my mentors. He had just passed away a few weeks ago from a tragic death. He was murdered. It was a really messed up thing, but I had to go back a couple weeks ago, go home for that. And then I went from there. Another friend of ours owned a roofing company that was best friends with my other friend. Mm-hmm. I worked for him a little bit, and then I went and joined the Roofers Union in Chicago, Local 11. Worked for them for a while doing commercial roofing, and then I moved to Colorado. Worked for a big commercial company here. Was a service tech for them for 5 years. And then I went from them and worked for my first storm chasing company.
And that's like what, 20, 25 years of combined experience essentially from what we've talked.
Yep. So then I worked for that company for 10 or 11 years as a superintendent, and basically, I did everything from repairs, facilitating the service department, running the service department, and quality control in residential roofs, doing safety, running the commercial jobs, and just doing a lot of things for the owner of the company, things like that. The last company along the lines, I worked when the first year I started working there. I became friends with one of the subcontractors, Victor, who was my business partner today, Victor Venzor, and he would always tell me, let's go to business together. Let's do business. And eventually, years later, I always told Victor, start getting licenses. You're going to need a lot of them. You can't wait till the last minute to get a license. So he started accumulating licenses and everywhere. And then towards the end, my current employer at that time was going a direction that I wasn't really feeling, and he was kind of absent a lot and just wasn't around really much anymore. And a lot of people were making a lot of money, and I was doing 10 times more than they were, and I wasn't really feeling the benefits of it. And Victor, a long time, was getting jobs, and we had acquired some big jobs, and I just didn't have the capacity to work for that current employer anymore. I didn't feel like it was fair, and I needed to work for myself. I always wanted to try it, and Victor and I tried it, and it's been going pretty good. I mean, we got a lot of big. Yeah, it's been a lot. I've had to learn a lot. I've never was an office employee. I mean, I was an office employee, but I didn't deal with the QuickBooks and the advertising and the marketing and the hiring and firing and the HR. And I'll tell you, it's the office, in my opinion, is the hardest thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Dealing with people, being a manager of people and things of that nature.
Yeah, and we've talked about it where you've brought up the conversation. We've talked about it on the phone about like different problems within our organization, whether it's the wrong window, the wrong material, or people like we were talking about earlier, not enough experience. And so right now, based off like where you guys have been, like you guys have a major impact within like smaller companies. So like we don't consider ourselves a big company. Like you guys came in and you guys were, already killing it so fast into the but you guys have so many years experience where when we first met, you were like you guys literally did 2 years in roofing and then decided to start your own company. It's probably a dumb move, but at that time it's like we were, we were not being taken care of by the company we were with, and I think it happens often. So essentially, like, what is your guys' like goals right now as far as like the company, the growth? You guys have done so much. I mean, if you want to share some of your accomplishments of what you guys have, I mean, the building itself is beautiful.
I would say the biggest accomplishments that Victor and I had is being able to work together and be able to hire and retain salespeople. It's really tough. Salespeople are the ones that bring you the checks. And in this industry, there's a huge turnover rate for salespeople. I mean, my previous employer I worked at, I watched hundreds of salesmen come and I watched hundreds of salesmen go. And sometimes as fast as they came, they left as fast as they came. And then during those slow periods, there was probably only 4 or 5 salesmen there.
Yeah.
I learned, that's one of the things that's hard. I was able, when we started this company, I was able to bring a lot of jobs. And I have 15 years, now I got about 17 years since 2009 in the Denver metro area. But being a service tech, out of all those years, I was able to make relationships with a lot of management companies and commercial properties, industrial, and a lot of residential. I built myself a pretty good reputation and a name, and I met a lot of people along the line, and I learned a lot about who to use and what not to use. So I think being able to hire a lot of employees, a lot of salesmen, that's a big accomplishment. Just having a good backing, like our service department, is solid. And I have an amazing service tech. I mean, he far exceeds everything that all my expectations. And
You've spoken very highly of him.
Yeah.
Yep.
In your opinion, because I completely agree with, being in the industry not nearly as long as you guys have, finding good people, we were talking about this a little bit before, but finding good people who are going to stick around is by far one of the hardest things in the industry. But I'm on the production side of our company right now, and so I'm dealing with a lot of those service things, and we've discussed it and things like that with issues that we've had in ours. Which one do you think is more difficult, and what would you say if somebody were to go out and like start their own company or something like that? Because you came from the service industry and you had to learn, or you didn't really have to learn all the sales.
I'd say running a service department's tough. It's probably the most complex thing there is. Production, people are handing you paperwork. They're handing you Eagle Views. They've already done most of the work for you. All you got to do is order the material.
Yeah.
The service department, half these jobs, I got to go out and look at them. And then my service tech has to report back to me and say, well, this is what's going on, and that's what's going on, and that. And I have to tell him, like, what to do. First, I have to get the information from him and turn it in, create an estimate out of that, and send the estimate in, and then get it, approved, and then I can schedule him to go fix it. And a lot of people think that service, you do a repair, they think it should be warranted. Well, yeah, sometimes it's process elimination. You can't really warranty repairs. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other can of worms of warranties in the roofing industry.
And then, I deal with a lot of commercial, commercial, and dealing with commercial. A lot of these commercial property owners will not let you on their property without higher you got to have huge policy limits.
Right.
$1 million, $2 million policy limits. They got to be on the trucks. You got to prove that. Before you can step foot on their property, they want your COI. They want to make sure that you're insured and you have all that. And when you doing stuff like that costs money. Yeah. And when you got commercial clients and multifamilies and assisted living, I have one customer has 451 assisted living centers. I got 150 villas in Colorado Springs to roof now because of that. I got 1,700 squares in Grand Junction that I got to roof for them. But to get those jobs and maintain that relationship with that client, they call me today for a leak. I need to get somebody out there today or within 24 hours to at least address that leak. Right. And if my guy's already addressing leaks, I got to get out in the field and address them leaks too. So, and that's the part because, these assisted living homes, for example, they got elderly people and their bedrooms are washed out and they got to hurry up and get this leak taken care of so they can renovate these units. Right. So that's really, really tough to deal with that. And then it's also tough dealing in the office. Yeah. Dealing with employees is tough. Yeah. It's not that easy, I mean, I respect all my employees. I mean, last winter I took a bunch of guys to Cabo, and at that particular time, I gave my general sales manager our suite that faced the ocean and the swimming pool. Jeez, very generous. And my wife and I stayed in the casita behind the house, but even then this guy was complaining while we were there, saying he didn't that I didn't appreciate him. You know what I'm saying? You see the irony and all that.
It's impossible to please people sometimes.
And I find that with a lot of people, some people, sometimes the more you give them, the more they want to take, and the more they're not in acceptance of stuff, and those type of people, they'll never be happy in life. They'll always be miserable, and they're always going to try to figure out ways to.
Are you at a point where you, have built like a backbone behind that to know that you don't need a certain person to say enough's enough? Like you think I don't appreciate you, but this is where it ends. Like I don't want to. Because I think it becomes toxic to a certain extent.
It is toxic, and that's the problem. When you have, I have a business partner just like you guys, and that's why when they'll come to me, and I tell them no, or they'll go to my business partner first, and then he'll come to me, and I say no, but then they'll figure out a way to get my partner to pay for it, or do it or something and take advantage. Because my business partner really is a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's got a big heart and stuff. And I tend to be the hammer, so I'm the bad guy because I have to lay down the law. Yeah. And if I don't, we're going to get ran over and we're not going to be in business.
Yeah.
Right. You got to put those barriers up. It was a question I think I asked you a little while ago. But when you're hiring people and things like that, because you guys have been doing this for a while now, and you yourself, you've been in the industry for
34 years.
30, 40 years. Yeah. What are the things that you look for? Are there like telltale signs where you can see that like up front in certain people? And especially salespeople are by far the hardest people to deal with because they have that front. They have that, that persona to give off to people. Have you like pinpointed certain things? Because we're still struggling with the same thing. Or I guess like you find one of those people, at what point do you let them go? Do you before the catastrophic events start to happen?
In my opinion, every salesman's worth something.
Okay.
I mean, if a salesman is, if they sell me one job a year, that's the $5,000 to $10,000 potential that I never would have had. Mm-hmm. So I'll take 100 of those salesmen. Yeah. That's the potential between $1 million or two. So, it's the salesmen the ones that I find that I don't like are the ones when I tell them, you do not nail a tarp on a roof unless instructed otherwise by an adjuster in written or email confirmation that they told you to tarp the roof and they're going to pay for it. So I had one salesman, I literally told this guy 3 days before this situation happened, what does he do? He goes and tarps the roof. The roof barely had any hail on it.
Jesus.
Then he wasn't even in town to meet the adjuster. And the adjuster shows up and he asked the other salesman that sale was covering for that other salesman, did you even inspect this roof? He's like, no, I did. I was just covering some. He's like, yeah, there's no damage up here. Yeah. And then that particular salesman told my biggest real estate agent that, yeah, the roof's going to get bought. And she's the seller's agent. You don't do that, you know? So I ended up having to replace that roof for free. It was the first roof I ever replaced in my life, and it's the only one so far in the last, 3 or 4 years of being my own business owner. And the problem is this I believe, was bad teachings from a general sales manager at the time that was teaching these people bad business practices and never wanted to listen and, very hard-headed. People that are really ignorant and hard-headed and don't listen, them are the ones that I really don't want around.
Yeah,
you get the feeling pretty right away as soon as you meet the person,
Oh yeah,
because I can tell you can read people.
When a person talks about themselves a lot, and they talk about how great they are and how smart they are and how much money you made. Oh, you made $300,000 last year working for this company, but you don't even have a house. You don't even own a house.
Yeah, and why aren't you currently employed?
And it was like another situation, like they had a couple some hangars out in the airport, the same guy. And I went out and told him, and the seams are on the south side of the ribs. And the hail came in from the north. And it wasn't that hard of a hail. It didn't bust any of the seams, and it came in directional and hit the left sides. And I was showing, and I walked the roof. I can spot that stuff. It's quite quickly and easily. And I kept telling him, there's no seam hits on here. You are not getting this paid for. I said, you first need to find out if he's got a cosmetic clause. If he doesn't, this isn't getting paid for. He spent like 2 hours on that roof. Just wasting time, wasting his time, not listening. you know, clearly. That was a big issue I had, and just people who are hard-headed and don't listen really, really grinds my gears.
Yeah. I think maybe like what I've seen is like certain people come in expecting so much from the industry, especially right now. I mean, if you hire people, you want to sell them this dream or the idea of how much potential you can make, which you can. I still believe there's enough work out there that you can make a good living in roofing, no matter what the season is. Yeah, that's just maybe my mentality. But some people don't see that, and then they put a roadblock where they're like, they have 4, 5, 6 jobs in the pipeline, and maybe that's all they focus on. Yeah, and then they're like starving to the point where they're getting desperate, and they start doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing, or they start, manipulating the process. You guys have a process.
I've never had that problem where someone's like made intentional damage or manufactured damage to a homeowner's home. 2 years ago it was all over national news. A guy making holes or making indentations on a garage door, and the camera caught him. It was just unbelievable. I would never do that. It's not worth it to me. No.
So we've never had that. I was, saying like as far as like the desperation of people that don't see the results in the roofing industry, like maybe you and I or John saw, or maybe like what do you think is the difference? Because I don't understand people's mentality when it comes to that. I'm a straight
shooter when it comes to that stuff. I'll open up Indeed and I tell them, look, every roofing company here is offering $250,000. They're telling you can make $250,000 a year selling roofs. Yeah, it's not a lie. You can. And all you have to do is put in 40 hours a week to make that kind of money. It's that easy. Most roof salesmen want to put in, not all of them, but most of them, the ones, they're comfortable with selling 1 or 2 roofs a month, making $3,000 to $6,000 a month, because it's actually good money. And it fits their lifestyle. These are the type of people that aren't as ambitious and aren't as motivated. That's why roofers get a bad reputation. So then for me, I bring them in. I tell them if I can get them into my office, or when I tell them, I'm like, look, here, I'll show you my CRM. We'll just pick one of these salesmen and pick a job that's been closed. Just pick one. I'll click on it and I show them the cap out sheet. See how much money they made? You want to see another one? Click on another one. I'll start showing them. And then when they're done, I'll say, look, this person made this $250,000 last year. Mm-hmm. This person made maybe $129,000 last year. And then they really see it and they believe it because everything sounds too good to be true. And like right now, times are a little tough. People have to get out there and get grimy and fight for their jobs. I mean, I'm not one of them people that's going to go out there and yank somebody's sign out of the yard. I'm not going to, just get into these battles with people.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that. I have a good pipeline, good referrals and stuff. But for the best salesmen, in my opinion, a lot of times I hire the ones that have never sold before. Young kids, 18. They're hungry. They're thirsty. And when I get a young kid or any new salesman that's never sold before, the first thing I do is I take that salesman and I take the first lead I get and I take them out and show them how to inspect the roof and I show them how to sign the deal and I show them how to close it. And I try to spike the job and get it done and let them get money. Mm-hmm. And they see that cap out and they're like, what, 5,000, 14,000? That's more money than my parents make. And they're 18.
Yeah.
They've never had a check like that in their life. That's what drives them and motivates them. Then they get hungry and they want to go, and they're not afraid to knock because you can teach them and they go out and do it. And it's important to have people that are willing to get out there and knock.
What do you think? Because that is an interesting thing. Because I've found the exact same thing. The people who have never been in the industry before and they don't know, and it's the young kids. I mean, we have a great person on our team right now, Gracie, who is right out of high school, and she is like amazing, like more ambitious than any of the other people that we've hired, and she's never been in the industry before, right out of high school. What is it that's making all of these? Because if we go and we hire somebody, we've had a ton of people interview, and they've all worked for the roofing companies, and they're exactly like you're describing, super self-entitled, arrogant.
Show up with their Rolexes.
Rolexes
Smelling,
and things like that. I just wonder, because I haven't worked for a whole lot of other companies, and it seems like you have. What is it that turns these guys into that? I'm sure they didn't start out that way.
They start out making money, and they make a lot, and then they go into the winter time, and it slows down a little bit. And then it gets slow and they collect money, and then they get a good storm and it gets good, and then they make money, and then eventually they get some of them, not all of them. The ones that aren't self-motivated and self-ambitious and self-starters, they're going to struggle, and you're always going to have them to struggle.
Yeah.
But the ones that are just self-motivated and self-starters, they will always make money and they will always be successful because it's in them to have that drive. And a lot of people in this industry don't have that drive. A lot do. There's, a lot don't. I mean, there was at my last employer before I started my own company, it seemed like every year there was one salesman that was new that could go out and sell 100, 200 jobs. But that salesman at the end of the year would relapse and end up in rehab or jail again and stuff. So
that's another thing. That's like a whole other can of worms. There's so many can of worms in the roofing industry. Drugs, alcohol, big tires on the truck. And we come from, I want to say like drugs and stuff. I mean, the company we come from, there was very bad habits behind closed doors, and then the upfront was, all this.
I came from the same thing. My last employer, he used to be a crackhead. Yeah. He was an alcoholic. And today he's sober. He's been sober and he's very successful. But today he suffers from he's obsessive compulsive. He has OCD really bad. He still has other bad habits today, but it's not drugs and alcohol, it's other things. Yeah. But he also uses that to his advantage. Well, I go to NA. Narcotics Anonymous. He goes to AA. Alcoholics Anonymous. and he pulls salesmen from there. And what's the problem? Most of these people in NA and AA, what do they have?
An addiction.
They have an obsessive. They have an obsessive.
Close,
They have an obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right.
So a lot of these people that are going to NA and AA, half the time, they're in a halfway house or they're recovering. They got in trouble. They're trying to change their life around. They probably lost their job. And then he brings them in and he gets them out there and they teach them how to sell. And these people sometimes, believe it or not, are the best salesmen because they don't know how to take no for an answer. Yeah. And they're not afraid to beg people. They've been begging their whole life, half of them. You know, they've screwed their own mom and dad and their family and their sons and kids and sisters and brothers. So they make the best salesmen.
Yeah.
And then they get obsessed with it. And they get out there, and that's all they care about is making money because that's their new obsession. So they just get into it. And then eventually, you know, they get some of them stay obsessed with it for years, and they do well, and they clean up. And some of them develop other obsessions along the way, you know, and that's just why you see a lot of these
Winter comes
salespeople.
along, got all this money.
Yep.
Make it rain.
Some of the best salesmen you're going to find might be at the Nike outlet or the Foot Locker or at the grocery store. Or like I've met salesmen. One of my best salesmen, I was good friends with his dad. I raced slot cars with his dad, and I met him through that. And he wanted something different. He's a lawyer, and he's got a doctorate in anesthesiology. He's selling roofs for me full time, you know.
And he does well, from what I heard. Yeah.
And he's a great guy. And another salesman, Jing, never sold a roof in her life. But, you know, she has her own community. And she was able to get deals going. And eventually she wanted to do it all. And she learned how to do it. And she does it. You know, I mean, so she's really successful at that. I had her another salesman off the ski slope, you know. Yeah. The salesmen, sometimes it doesn't matter where I'm at or who I'm talking to. If I'm at the grocery store and there's a kid bagging groceries, you think he really enjoys that job?
Yeah.
You know how much they're not making much money, but when I can bring them in and say, hey, it's a supplemental income. You don't have to do it full time. You can come and try it, and I'll teach you. You know, and that's what I do. So I'll bring them in, give them a job, and go. Like right now, I have 2 Denver University senior basketball players. One's my marketer, and the other one is he's canvassing for me. He just learned how to canvass. Very well-spoken kids, very well-behaved, very professional. The one kid that's canvassing, he's cut out to be a salesman.
Yeah.
So
people with an athletic background, we've found that have that competitive drive, the discipline. Like you know, you train, you show up on time. Being on time is late for a lot of them, and like all these good habits. And
it's been one of the best indicators, I would say, for finding solid people who come from that background. But that's actually, I mean, that you said that you know, you're just pulling guys off of the, you know, from bagging groceries and things like that, because that's very true. I mean, most kids, like people, they walk, you know, right by a lot of these kids and don't even notice it and think that they're just like not motivated or something like that. And a lot of them just haven't even been given the opportunity. Nobody, there was a guy who was Ray, who we just hired, where he was, you know, I was at my office and he was walking out of a store and stuff like that, and he actually grabbed my attention and he like pulled me to the side and he was like, you know, and for him, when we did the interview, he just never been given an opportunity. Nobody even said anything. So that's, I think, a big
I like people
point,
in retail because they know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
And it's usually they're young, and they're the younger people are the go-getters, and sometimes I find people from the less, you know, the less opportunistic groups of people are the ones that do really well, you know. I like you guys have, like Gracie, I've heard a lot about her. I've never met her, and you guys talk about her a lot, and that's like, I love to have employees. That's the kind of employees you got, but sometimes you got to go through 10 bad ones to get one good one. And that's what it takes. And in this day and age, people are becoming less ambitious and less motivated. People just don't care.
I think it's the instant gratification of, like, you know, like I guess, do you ever feel like guilt when you tell or you present this idea to someone and then, you show up, sorry, I got distracted. But like you essentially, like, you have the interview, you tell them how much you can make, this is what the potential is, and then they go through the training, they do everything that you told them to do, but then they fail. Do you ever feel like that falls on you as like the owner or leader,
or a lot of times,
guilt, or
if a person, I've brought in a lot of people, and they'll show up and they'll come to a meeting, and then I'll never see them again, and then I'll follow up with them and like, what's going on, what's wrong, what happened, and I'll get feedback from like, oh well, I went to the sales meeting and there was a bunch of salesmen in there and that already knew what they were doing, and the manager was teaching me like the basics.
Yeah.
In front of all these people, it was just, I just didn't feel comfortable and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
And you have to treat, when it comes to sales, you really have to treat everybody equally. Like I get leads, I get a lot of leads. I have a lot of referrals. I get a lot, and I have to look and like, who needs leads, who's struggling, who really needs money, but at the same time, who is really working hard, who really wants it, who needs it. I can't just give leads to people who aren't working, who aren't out there doing their job. And we use a canvasser app, and that app, they need to use that app, so we know they're hitting every door. And those people, the salesmen that are out hitting every door, the ones that are out there hitting the most are the ones that are working the hardest. Them are the ones I'm gonna give the leads to.
Yeah.
So even with my dialers, like sometimes I catch one dialer on the phone. I did tell him yesterday, hey, it's the second time you've been on your phone when you're not supposed to be, and I'm not getting leads. So third time, it's not going to be so nice. So I'm not just going to let you go, you know. And I don't want to be that guy. And I told him, I said, look, I don't like being an a-hole. I don't want to be an a-hole. And at the end of the night, I go home questioning myself if I was being an a-hole or if I was doing the right thing, Yeah. So
that's a big one. Yeah. It's a
I
major
think
one.
sales people are as good as the leader. And if you have a good leader, somebody who's really there to support them and support the company, you'll have a good sales staff. And I recently brought in a new girl named Jamie, and I worked with her when she cut her teeth in this industry at a previous employer when she first started. And she, for the last few years, had been working for another company, and that company is one of the biggest storm chasing companies in the country. And that company is solely based on door knocking. They don't hire canvassers. The salesmen knock their own doors. They knock, and you got to knock, and it's like a team effort. And they want everybody out, and she knows how to knock. And so I brought her in that's part of the job. I made her a general sales manager because she can teach these people how to knock. She can teach them how to sign a deal. She can motivate them and keep them motivated. And she can be in the office every day following up on their open invoices and making sure that they're doing what they need to do. So,
yeah, because there's a lot that goes into it. And that's my responsibility, and is building the sales team and getting us to grow in that portion of things, because I feel like we failed in certain areas. One, like you said, it starts with leadership. So if the leader doesn't show up, to the meeting, or doesn't show up to the training, we all fall short. And when you don't see, they don't see the effort on your end and they're showing up, then you feel, that's where the gray areas happen. And that's where people just like, say,
and
this isn't for me.
I recently lost a couple salesmen because of this. Your salesmen, they want to see the leader, the real leader, the owner, the boss, the jefe. They want to see that guy, and they like to be around that guy, So the problem was my business partner and I weren't going to the sales trainings. We weren't going to the sales meetings. We weren't out in the field with our salesmen. We weren't. And while that was going on, our sales manager was basically turning them against us and talking trash behind our back and trying to take our salesmen to another company. Yeah. And he had it made pretty good. But this is the same guy that's not appreciative. and you know, that wants participation trophies. You know, like you get your participation trophies when you get your commission on every deal. You know,
do you think that that's just like who he is, like as a person, or do you think
100%.
maybe if you guys had been there at those meetings, it would have been? He obviously wouldn't have been able to talk crap, obviously, but
100% that's what it was. He was trying to take control like it was his company, and it wasn't. And he, you know, if he's that great and that good, he'd go start his own company.
Right.
You know, and he was. That's just the way he is, and he's always going to be that way. And you know, and that's just it. So I cut him. And I had to. I had no choice. So
well, it's like a virus. You know, once you get a virus in and it starts bleeding into different portions of your organization, you have to cut it and say no more. And I mean, we haven't had nothing like that happen ever. Where
you guys are pretty involved, though. You're involved with the training. You're out in the field with them.
Yeah, I would say that's more of like my side of things. Like I've told you before, like if I didn't have the amount of things I have now, and I can just focus on in the field, on getting on roofs, training, developing, like that would be my sole focus. But and
that's another thing too. I mean, you can't keep sending salesmen and people to jobs, or you can't send salesmen to storms, and you don't even know if there's damage.
Yeah,
right.
Or you don't even know how good it is. You burn salesmen out, and you do that 2, 3, 4 times in a row, and you got them out knocking in ghost storms. Eventually, they're going to give up, and they're going to start showing up less and less. Yeah. You need to go out and do your due diligence and make sure it's a good storm, and do your research, and you know how to identify a good storm. Showing me a bunch of hailstones in your hand, and then I look in the background, the picture, and there's not one hailstone in the yard or in the street behind it. That's a good indicator it's not a good hailstorm, not a good storm. Right. And then they're white, you know, looks like snow and slush. Yeah. But if it looks like ice cubes, and I see them in the background, I know it's good, you know. And that's one thing. At my previous employer, I was always there, 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. Like I remember one time I was at Cheyenne, Wyoming. I left Denver early because I knew it hailed that night. And I left Denver early. I got there like 3, 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was driving up the streets. I didn't see one roofer. And I see blankets on the back of cars. I could see the hail damage. I could see, it was just bad. It was bad. And I was like, I was on the phone. I'm like, you need to send everybody. The storm is good. This is a good hailstorm, you know. And
it gets, I don't know, for me, like, he's not necessarily that way, but I get very like, I'm in the zone when it's season for me, and I'm like, my eyes are locked in, my focus is locked in. If I hear of a storm, I'm there. I always prided myself on being the first at a storm.
You have to, because if you're not, you're going to miss the bus. It's like if you're going to sit around and jack around in Sloan's Lake this week, Monday, when it was nothing, but you clearly see there's ice balls in the Broadmoor or down at Bear Creek.
Right.
And you're not down there, but you're over here wasting your time. By the time my guys made it to Bear Creek, it was beat up. Everybody's like, well, we've had 20 roofers or 30 roofers at our door. We've had 10 phone calls, and everybody's got signs on their door, and they're like, we have our roofer.
One of the worst things that was ever told to me is like I had like 4 people in an area because you guys had all gotten out there and everything, and I ended up going into this area like a week or 2 later.
He's the calmest person. Like he has no sense of urgency.
But I get in there, and one of the most like brutal things I was told is all the people are like, "You're a little late to the party, don't you think?" Like everybody's already gotten the work done. I'm like, "Gosh darn it!" Thankfully, they had already been there and stuff. But it was like
a day late and $1 short.
Yeah. And so it's just, and I do a lot more of the production side of things now, but it's
but the salesman's
the worst thing. Well, and
salesmen, you can get salesmen anywhere. Salesmen are not hard to get.
Right.
It's to retain the salesmen. You got to keep them happy. You got to make sure, you know, they're like your child. You got to coddle them and treat them like a baby and give them a bottle. Spoon feed them. You know, and you got to caress them.
But the whole thing about feeding them, like, I know when you first told me, like, I asked you, I was like, what do you do to get your salespeople to perform, especially when they're new? And you told me the exact same thing you said earlier. It's like I get them a lead, and then I walk them through the lead, and I show them how to do everything. And it was like 2 days later. I think you told me that on a Friday. And a lot of the things that you've told me, you know, I've implemented, but that was one of them. And I went into the office on Monday and I see one of our guys that was like really struggling. He's pretty fresh to the industry, and we get a lead through like an Arvada thing that we have. Like, I don't know, it's like an ad sponsorship. But anyways, I'm leaving and I like turn around, like in my head it was like, just take him with you. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll take him with me. I didn't know what the whole deal was, but I told our sales guy, I was like, hey, come with me. We're going to go to this appointment. You're going to run it with me. If it turns into something cool, if not, at least you get to see the process. We show up, we meet the homeowner, you know, greet, whatever. And then we do our inspection, and then we sit at the table with her. And then I basically told her, I was like, there's tons of damage and everything. She's like, oh, I know. I already have a paperwork for everything. I was like, oh, that's cool. Nice. I was like, that's already, you know, a step ahead of the game. And Alex's eyes just went, like his eyes open, and the house, I mean, it's 80 square roof, like presidential. And I was like, oh boy, out of all the houses, like it's like this one.
It's okay though. But that'll motivate them, and if that doesn't motivate them, what is?
Right.
You know?
And so we go through the appointment. I present to the homeowner. She was like, I was like, so why haven't you chosen a contractor? Like, you've been through 5, whatever. And she's like, well, so far nobody's made me feel comfortable with what they say. They said they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They just aren't straightforward with anything. They just promise, but didn't seem like they would deliver. And then she hired us that day. She signed the contract. She gave us a deposit 2 days later, whatever. But then his commission in that job, I mean, it was like $22,000 on that one project. It was like 120 something thousand.
Did that motivate him? Did he stick around, or because not every job's like that?
Not every job was like that, but he had a wave come right after that where he just went off. Like, he was signing contingencies, calling in claims, signing contracts, and I was like, I got excited. I was like, yeah, it freaking worked.
You show them. If you take them by the hand and you show them the way. You lead the way, and it's like, you know, it's like if I'm walking down a path and let's just say I'm some made up prophet, and I got thousands of followers, and I tell them, like, follow me, I'll show you the light. But eventually people follow you for so long and there's no light. And eventually some people are going to fall off and drop off, and then say there's this big castle. But we know the light's not there. We see naked girls and music, and we smell food, and they're doing all this stuff, and we're starving, and we're walking on the path. And sooner I get to that castle, I start losing people. I get past the castle, I start losing people. But eventually, as I get past the castle, half the people are with me, and the other castle, the half are there, and eventually lightning hits the castle, and it just crumbles and burns up and falls into the ground. It's because I didn't, you know, I'm trying to show them the light and lead them down the good path. But these people want instant gratification. And the instant gratification isn't always the good gratification.
Most never.
So it happened that those type of things happen a lot. Salesmen,
It's a good analogy, though. I mean,
it's great analogy.
You want to show these people, like, because I mean, me and him, we both know the successes. You know, the successes in the industry. And it's like, man, if you can just get people, just hold on a little bit longer. Like, we're gonna get there. You're gonna see a breakthrough. It's a numbers game.
Like for us, I mean,
we don't take jobs here as owners. I don't take jobs. Because I have salesmen that need jobs, and if I want to keep them salesmen, I need to give them jobs. There's a lot of other companies that are offering people jobs and leads, but that's what a lot of older senior executive salesmen want. So I give them jobs and run them. I had one a couple months ago. I literally went out and inspected the roof. It was a referral. I inspected the roof. I created the estimate. I emailed it to him, signed the deal, never even met the guy, got it approved. I gave it to a salesman. It was already, I just handed it over to him. Here, everything's already done.
Free money.
Go ahead, man. Just go babysit the job, take care of it. Even then, that same salesman still wasn't satisfied. You know? And
they have it good because, like, we were thrown into the fire. We show up to this random thing we never knew, roofing, stack of cards, go say this pitch and try to get on a roof, and that was it. We were basically thrown into the fire, and I mean, it's fine now, but
The only jobs that I am keeping and running myself are if it's, a big multifamily or an assisted living home or something like in that nature, I'm going to keep them jobs myself.
There's a lot of
And
liability.
yes. And I'll maybe, if there's a salesman that's not doing that well, but I think he can at least be on the job and manage it and take pictures, I'll bonus him. I'll pay him out on the job. I'm like, hey, I'll give you 10 grand or, to sit here and manage this job.
Yeah.
You have to be there every day.
Yeah.
And some of them people, they don't mind that sitting on a job all day. It's perfect for them. But I lost a job that was 28 buildings, 28 multifamily buildings, bunch of garages, storage unit, a lot of roofs. And I maintained that property for the last 5 years. And I gave him a cheap bid and I didn't get it because I believe the salesman burned it. And then they had another property down the road. 5 buildings were 4 stories. I didn't get them either. And then I had one that was one of my closest friends' fiance is a property manager for this big Graystar property that was $4 million. That same salesman burned that one too.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't get it, and I should have got it. It's very upsetting.
would've been a little-
It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
And then I had one job where the property manager told me that the owner of that roofing company, I'm not going to say what company it is, but he offered to buy her a brand new Lexus or something like that.
geez.
And I was just like,
just
what?
to get the job.
Bribery.
Oh yeah,
Jeez.
it was a big
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
People do that.
A lot
though.
of
I've
big
heard
multifamilies.
that people will pay people under the table to,
Yeah.
like if say there's your neighbor next door, his project say it's
very-
150,
it's
and they're
very
like,
fraudulent.
here's,
Yeah. Especially if it's insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you can give anybody a gift as a company owner, but what if the people that own that property find out about that?
Right.
What if word gets back to people? That's, to me, that's just kind of nefarious practices and stuff. But
I would agree because it's dishonest in the way in winning the job. You're not winning it. It's not like a fair fight because you're not like up to bat with other people, and it's who's coming in at the right price, but also like is providing the good quality of work, the right material, and things like that. It's because then at that point it's like they've accepted the job and your offer because you're going to give them something free of value, and it does. He could do the job poorly, and they're still going to take him. So
right now, I mean, a lot too. I personally probably get more leads than anybody, and I give them all the salesmen.
yeah.
I get a lot of leads from realtors, management companies. I have a home inspector who gives me a lot of leads, and I take care of these people. I try my best to make sure that I give them seats to the Legacy Club at Rockies, and I mean those tickets were $22,000 for those season tickets. I try, my realtor, I'll buy a whole bunch of candles and take them to her. I'll offer her to go to the Legacy Club. You got to take care of these people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean that's yeah. I
Have you built
agree.
those over the years, like ever since your previous employers, or have you built your like network like recently?
mine, I
or-
constantly build on my network, and like I see a realtor sign, I call it. I'll call it. If they don't answer, I text them and I say, hey, I offer roof certifications because the house is being sold. Good chance it's under contract. I do roof certifications and I do them cheap, $250. That gives me an excuse, an opportunity to get on the roof and do an inspection. I find damage or whatever. I'm on the roof a lot of times. Sometimes it needs a repair. But you want to build that relationship with that realtor. You want that trust, and you got to start somewhere. So we start at the bottom. And sometimes I get on roofs, and some people tell them, "Oh, it needs to be replaced." Well, you got a couple hail strikes. There's ways to fix that.
yeah.
And then the roof certification. And if I believe the roof's in good shape, I'll certify it. No big deal.
Right.
And you would believe the amount of realtors that call me.
Yeah.
I mean, the realtors, I have a great relation. Like that one roof I had to replace. That's one of my biggest realtors. And she gives us jobs every week. And when she brought it up and she was upset about it, that situation, I said, don't worry about it, Ann. I didn't think twice. I said, don't worry about it. I didn't even consult my business partner on it. I said, don't worry about it, Ann. I'll replace that roof for free. I'll make sure it gets taken care of. And I'll
See,
make
that's a
sure it gets
different-
done by next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, see those you definitely want to maintain and keep and nurture, and also take care of them when you your
there's
salespeople mess up. Like we had our whole situation with the refund that we did.
Yeah.
Which that was a nightmare. You helped us a little bit through the process there, but I mean, what's one of your biggest like learning lessons that really cost you? One, more gray hairs, you know, if you have some like me, and then just financially,
I mean, to financially, it's learning where to put your money, and we're learning where to put what eggs to put your basket in, and it's really learning, it's managing your employees and making sure that your employees are doing their job. Before, we were paying employees premium money. To find out one employee, we're paying way more than the average admin would ever get paid, and we took her and the other one to Vegas and gave them money, and you know, and we had a good time. But at the end of the day, she was embezzling money. And then the other day, we had another employee who I thought was a great employee, and we're overpaying them. Front office secretary, $1,100 a week. That's good money.
that's really good money.
And, but at the end of the day, after she left, we find that there's 70-something Thornton permits that are expired. So we have to pay to reopen these permits. So I think you can lose a lot of money in your office and your overhead. And it's having a bloated overhead that's not necessary, or you can have a bloated overhead, but are these people working and doing their job, and are they helping you make money? Are they covering for all the other things that you don't need? Those are a big issue, I find, and it's just being that boss, and you have to be tough, and you have to be straightforward, and you can't let people take advantage of you.
Yeah.
You know, like in your guys' situation, your employee is Gracie, and she does a great job. You're blessed, you know.
And my wife is another one.
Yep. Yeah. I hear she works there. She does a lot of stuff for you too as well. And it's sometimes, I mean, it's to run a big company and have a lot of salespeople and do a lot. It's stressful.
Yeah. Do you feel like because of those things that happen, do you feel yourself like, I don't know if you're a micromanager. Like, would you consider yourself a micromanager?
I don't micromanage. I don't micromanage. I don't.
Do you think
that.
like that ever creeps, like where you're like questioning, like, oh, is that person?
I don't
like...
even look at QuickBooks. I don't even know the password, but I could look at it anytime I want.
Yeah.
And I don't look at it, but I do payroll.
Yeah.
So, and I have all the bank accounts. We have several of them, and I look at them, and I discuss, how we facilitate all that. Because at the end of the day, it's the ARs, the accounts receivables, and the cash flow is really important. But everything, it's basically on the accrual basis is what's most important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's one thing. Like you're saying, I don't feel like I'm a micromanager, and it's weird that I'm even like obsessive about the company. I used to never be that way. I used to be the type of person that didn't really care about anything, and I would just like cruise through life, make my money. Like my whole plan was buy an RV and literally just storm chase and be single forever.
Yeah, and if I didn't tell you this,
and then my wife kind of just
if I didn't tell you this as a salesman or as a company owner, I mean, it's every day. It's in my mind like, well, I'd just rather be a salesman and worry about my jobs and not have to worry about other people's jobs and other employees and paying this bill and that bill and those bills. And especially with the pipeline and the business I have. But at the same time, being a business owner is not easy. And you have to work hard. But you reach a peak where you either get more salesmen or you cut back. And if you're at the top of that peak where you have a lot of overhead and you need so much jobs to pay the bills, then you need to keep stepping up. So you have to always be hiring.
Yeah.
Always. And because you're always gonna have salesmen come in and always gonna have salesmen going, and you're always gonna have unhappy people, and you're always gonna have people that are gonna start their own businesses, and that's a tough one too. I mean, when you have a salesman and you bring them in and you teach them everything, and then you give them one of your best realtors. And then they go out and start their own company, and there goes a lot of your jobs.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's happened to me. So, but you have to, like, hey, you can't hate them for that. I mean, it is what it is. You have to expect that to happen.
Yeah. Just got to keep moving
Yeah.
forward. Because like you said, once you hit a certain level, there is no stepping back down. You got to keep.
I'm at the point where it's kind of hard.
Right.
I have to pay for this building,
Yeah.
and I can't step away. And
Yeah.
it's like, I built a brand. Me and my business partner did. We're still building our brand and our name, and people recognize us and they see us. And like when my vendor reps tell me, hey, like people are noticing you,
Yeah.
and people are asking questions, and
It's a good feeling.
and especially when it comes to pricing, when you get one vendor complaining to a manufacturer rep about another vendor giving them prices that they can't give us. Well, the problem is this vendor rep's actually just being greedy and doesn't want to come off.
Yeah.
He's just stingy,
Yeah.
and he's going to lose a lot of. He won't never do well being that way.
Right.
Yeah. And that was a major point when again, you've shared so much knowledge with us, and it's stuck. And we used to never look at those numbers. For the people out there that are starting the roofing companies are growing. It's like
We were ignorant.
the manufacturer pricing. It's so, you have some big dogs, big companies in roofing here in the state that basically go directly to the supplier and buy material from them. They don't even need a middleman.
Yeah.
And so they're getting crazy pricing to where we're getting, say you're getting 120 per square on GAF, we're getting 150. Like there's a major gap there.
Yeah.
And so they're essentially like affecting the small companies that are trying to do something. And I think it's purposefully where they're charging so much that eventually it puts those people out of business because they don't have any leverage.
And that's another thing too. A lot of what I do is work pricing. I bet you I was on the phone 5 times this week with vendor reps about pricing, about a particular job that's 1,700 squares, and it changes the whole game in the realm of things. And you're always going to be in that pricing battle with them because those people that are setting them numbers, that's how they make money too. So the more you take from them, the lesser your price is the more you're taking from them.
Yeah.
But it's best that I just stick to one main manufacturer. I don't mind backup manufacturers, but I try to stick to one main manufacturer, and I try to rep that company too. And I try to, when I go to my home shows, I'm repping that company. When I go places, I represent that company because that's who I'm doing business with, and I want them giving me that fair amount and respect when, to do business. So they see what I'm doing and they respect that. That makes them, appreciate you more and want to and work with you because they know you're loyal. So I try to do that a lot, and I try to work with them companies. But the big thing for me when it comes to a lot of people are just worried about that main manufacturer. They're not worried about the edge metal and the ice. I can literally buy underlayment a quarter of the price of what these companies are selling it for. But now, once you get to that point where you're doing so much, then the next thing is they want that you become Tamco Platinum.
Yeah.
They offer the best warranties in the business. I mean, they don't even pay for material; they pay for the labor too.
Yeah.
But the second you come Tamco Platinum, then you have to, in order to be platinum, you got to use their underlayments. You got to use all that stuff.
Right.
Now, if I was doing a big commercial job that's 1,700 squares, and I want to warranty this job with Tamco, I have to use their underlayment. So now I got to pay 4 times the price for their underlayment and their ice and water shield.
Right.
Now, most vendor reps, they sell drip edge for $12 to $14 a stick. I can get that stuff made for $4 a stick. So on a big job, you can save $40,000, $50,000.
Yeah.
Just going to a metal manufacturer
Somewhere
and
else,
having them make it. These are things that the reps don't want you to do. But on little jobs, residential houses, you really can't afford to do that. You can buy pallets of metal, but now you got to facilitate somebody in the warehouse to dictate that and make sure that that's getting delivered. You got to pay somebody to deliver it that runs your warehouse, delivering it to every
Inventory.
job, and you're going to get a lot of damaged product.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost you money too. So that's a big issue, and that's something big that you to deal with. But on big jobs, that's the only way I'm going to handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big jobs are
It's a give and take, I think.
They get you.
Yeah.
You think you're making up on the shingles,
Yeah.
but they're charging you 3-4 times as much for the ridge, and they shouldn't be.
Right.
Ridge is crazy. Yeah, it's
$80 for a bundle of ridge.
That's
It doesn't.
Yeah.
The ridge is a lot easier to make than the shingles, and it's a lot cheaper. And it's a less of a product.
Right.
yeah.
So that's a big issue. Ridge shouldn't
Yeah.
be that expensive,
It is expensive. I know. I see bundles and I'm like,
because that's where they're getting you. They're making up money on these other
Yeah.
items that
Yeah.
you're not paying attention to.
$10 less a bundle, but $40 extra. On
Like
the ridge.
Dimitri's
Yeah.
right, and he sells a lot of underlayment, nice and water shield.
Yeah.
But at the same time, most people that are platinum can't use that
Well,
product.
because you got to. That's the only way to sustain the warranty on all of those.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're. Yeah.
yeah.
You can't. So.
Yeah. No, it's a crazy industry. The times right now, I think pretty much everybody feels, the difference between 2023, 2024 to 2025. And we talked about it earlier where, I mean, you have 10,000 contractors in the state and then you only have 2 storms that maybe happened up in the Thornton area, Milliken. I mean, it was a crazy
Free for all.
time. Yeah, free for all there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad, but
I was happy to get a few jobs out of that storm.
yeah.
That's it. I was happy.
And
And that same day that's going on, you're in Milliken, I'm up there. The roof I was on that day in Todd Creek, we roofed it today.
Yeah.
It's a big
Oh, you
roof.
did get it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, almost 50 squares, but
Yeah.
they were roofing it today.
Very nice.
yeah. So yeah, there's still work out there. I think. I mean, the biggest focus I'm sure for you guys is also, are you guys still recruiting and hiring and training?
Always. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
always.
that's something that we're doing as well.
You have to always be hiring.
Yeah.
Always. So
Yeah.
and if you're not, that's where you're gonna fall behind.
Yeah. What's going on for your guys' future, like in the next year?
We want to make sure that everything here is fine tuned, and that, got to hold down our base first, get that going. We've already branched out. We got licensed in Wyoming. We're licensed on the Western Slope, and that's the Grand Junction was our first small office that we started, and it's far enough away that it takes a lot of, coordination to work that far away, but it's a good experiment and experience to have before we start moving into states like Omaha or
Right.
Des Moines, Iowa, or Kansas City or Minneapolis or Chicago, or I'll go to New York and sell roofs. I don't care. If there's money, it makes sense,
Yeah.
But if there's no money, you can't sit here and shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Because you're going to shoulda, coulda, woulda all the way to the bankruptcy court,
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I'll ever do is file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I'll fail before I do that.
Yeah. And that's what the difference between companies and owners is, like, who's willing to go the furthest and who's willing to suffer to get, to where you want to be.
You just have to
And-
work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner, you have to be here because you got so many hats to wear.
Yeah.
You're not just a salesman or a canvasser or a project manager or a general sales manager. You're everything. And you're more than everything. You literally facilitate every single little thing, and your business is only going to be as successful as you are. If you're lazy, you're going to have a lazy business. If you're a hard worker and you work hard, you keep, the more harder you work, the less you got to pay somebody else.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's just usually how it is. And like a good friend of mine told me the other day, she's very successful. And, I hear people talk about money all the time. I made this, I made that. Well, her late husband's favorite saying is, don't tell me how much you made, tell me how much you saved. So.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're still learning, but and everything that I've learned through the process, I don't let it go in one ear and go out the other. I keep hitting this mic.
Yeah. We
and-
saved for 2 years to buy this building,
Yeah.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a huge accomplishment. That's one thing that you told me is, like, a lot of people will buy trucks, put tires
We
on
have a
them.
$80,000 Duramax with 3,000 miles on it. It's getting to be a year old.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only got 3,000 miles, but we need it for certain jobs.
Right.
Pay cash for it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we got a window truck. We pay cash for it. We started our window business. I literally sunk $250,000 into that business the first year and didn't make any money. I just kept putting money in it to pay people that weren't doing nothing, you know?
Do you recommend like credit lines? Because you don't have all your trucks are paid off. Do you recommend, because we've gotten ourselves, it's just those credit lines, because it's just so easy. Like credit cards anywhere.
No,
you just
debt.
build it up.
It's just debt and interest.
Do you recommend doing credit lines for anybody like new in the business or anything like that? Because I personally, I've gotten to the point where,
Look, in this business, especially in this roofing industry, if you can't make money selling roofs, you shouldn't be getting credit lines.
Right.
Because you obviously can't make the money. And you're not making the money to get in business. And you don't have the money to get in business. So you shouldn't be in business.
Yeah.
You should be in sales.
If you need, if you need a credit line to survive.
Yeah. I mean, this business, usually when you do a roof, the front check pays for everything, usually.
Yeah.
What do you need more for? Get the job done and get paid, you know?
Right.
And this is our only debt is this building.
Yeah.
And I've never had debt in my life, and this stresses me out. It stresses me out bad having debt.
It's a nice facility. Yeah.
The thing is, when you talk about credit lines, the interest, we put 20% down on this building. On top of that, we put another $150,000 into a money market account that has to sit there for 12 months to back it. But the amount of interest we pay is just unbelievable. It's not even our principal with 20% down is 1/6 of what we pay, and that's with a good interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So
which is huge.
when you look at what we're spending, it's like, because you're paying interest on what you still owe. You know, if you owe $1.4 million on something, you're paying interest on that, and that's $10,000 a month. You know,
that's crazy.
Of interest.
Yeah.
So when you look at that, the credit, it makes sense for businesses. It makes sense for bankers and banks, and it makes them a lot of money. It doesn't make sense for us. If there's a fast turnaround, then credit makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
If you can turn around real fast, you can do that. But like here, we have a 12-month no prepay. But I assure you, in 5 months, I'm gonna have a different bank. So
well, you gotta explore options, because even with trucks, again, he has no sense of urgency, not to put you under the bus, but like I refinanced my truck. Mm-hmm. And when I first got it, but he's had a Ram that we have, for like 2 years, and he's like, I'm gonna refinance it. Still waiting for like the whole process to come through. But it's just like the little things. It's basically paid off, but it's just the little things. Mm-hmm. Like if you're paying, like he's saying, interest on certain things, and if you're new, all of that over time will take from your profits. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lot of learning for us, and you guys have invested a lot into us, and we appreciate it.
If I can offer help, I will. But like I said, we collaborate together. Mm-hmm. I called you yesterday, asked you a question about something, you gave me the answer I wanted. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that answer. I didn't know that answer. So, and that helped me a lot more than you can imagine. So I don't know everything. I wish I did, but I don't. Yeah. And every single day I'm learning something. I learned something last week, that's costing us a lot of money. So, I'm not failing, but on some things I do fail. Mm-hmm. But I call it failing forward. Mm-hmm. And there's a pretty prominent developer in town named Travis McAfoose, and he's a big developer. And one time I was at his house, and he was telling me, he has this huge house in Cherry Creek, and he's very well off. And he was telling me, like, why don't you start your own business? I was a fourth roofer at his house. None of his roofers could fix his tile roof leak. Mm-hmm. I did. Not only did we do that, I got it paid for by the insurance company, like a $40,000 claim. And he was very encouraging. And he's like, you know what, I got the best book for you. Because I told him I was afraid to fail. And I was terrified of failing. And he gave me his own personal book from his own office, and the book's called Failing Forward,
It's crazy you say that, because that was like my biggest fear. Yeah. I'll have to read that book, because I don't know if I feel that way now, just because of where we're at. We're all going
But you can't. The thing is, you can't be afraid to fail as a business owner. You got to take chances. You got to swing. It's like you can be afraid of that fast pitch ball, but if you never swing at it, you're never going to hit it. Mm-hmm. But the more you swing at that ball, the more options you're going to hit it. So if you want to make it big, swing. You got to swing big, and you got to make big swings. And sometimes the bigger swings, the more, you think a lot of these billionaires, they didn't make it just doing nothing. They took chances. Jeff Bezos took chances selling books online out of his garage. Look at him now. The guy will never have to worry about anything.
Yeah. And it goes a long way having who you surround yourself with and people that understand where we're at, where we come from, because people see, $20,000 check come from a job. It's a deposit. Think we're profiting off of that. It's like, no. And all this money that moves within one company in roofing or in construction in general, it's like sales reps will see that, people will see that. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like in our position, I feel like sometimes we eat last. And it's like eaters eat last. And
I've
the
had
whole thing.
My general sales manager made more money than me and my business partner.
Yeah.
And he still wasn't happy.
It's crazy.
It's just people like this they'll never be happy.
Yeah.
You're never going to make them happy.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's nothing you can do to satisfy these people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's part of the game. It's part of the industry. And we're going to keep going forward. Hopefully we end up partnering up with some. We almost did, and I think there's still opportunity for that. I don't give up on that. I still want it to work, but we'll see. We'll talk.
We can definitely talk more, revisit that.
Yeah, and then the whole thing about just here in Colorado, people that listen to this, Ben has really good advice. I'm sure if you ever needed help or needed advice or a pinpoint or something roofing related, I'm sure he'd be open to taking an email.
Absolutely.
Or a call.
I love helping people. I'm not out for the money. I'm out. I like to be the good Samaritan, and it makes me feel good. And I appreciate it when I can help people, but I also understand that when I help people, if I need help, sometimes they can help me. They're not obligated to help me, but sometimes I might have a question, or I need fellowship, or I just need somebody to talk to. And that's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
So I could easily go out and start a web page and start marketing myself to people and selling people, but I don't know everything. But I can offer people some of my advice and what works for me, because there might be some things I do that don't work, and I don't want to offer bad advice, But I do the things I know what works. I'm willing to offer that advice,
Yeah. What is I guess an advice you would give someone new in a salesperson and then an owner that they can right off the bat just implement? I know there was a lot of golden nuggets within the whole conversation, but something that I guess you would tell yourself when you first became and came into the roofing, and then maybe when you became an owner, and something that someone can take.
The best advice I could give somebody is just to be smart with the money, because a lot of people get these checks and they think, they put it all in one bank account, and they everything goes out of that one bank account. They pay themselves, they buy their own personal stuff, they do other stuff, and they think that check, they spend that money and it's not theirs. So there is laws that are in regards to that. That stuff has to go into escrow accounts, and they need to follow the laws, and that's why there's laws for that stuff. And it's learning where your money is and what your money is and what your money's doing. Financially, that's the best advice I could give. Going into business, I think first being an independent salesperson and learning the business and learning how to run your own business as an independent sales contractor first is the best advice. And then once you've done that for a while, then step into a business. But I'm in this business for the long haul, and I'm in it to get bigger and bigger. And there's really nothing else I could offer.
I think it's depending on the situation. I think that's where the advice comes, in my opinion. Probably with the certain situations we've been in, and I've asked you questions, and you're like, well, this is what I would do. Or when we refunded $28,000 to a homeowner, you were like, you shouldn't feel bad, dude. Like, I wouldn't have given him nothing. Like, it was not your fault.
I would have fought them on that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's, you know, I mean, I guess it's done and over with.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you probably feel better now it's over with.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weight off the shoulder. It's like the whole
Like,
thing.
I'm not blinking one eye at that house that I had to, the roof I had to replace, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But with that being said, I mean, we definitely should do another couple parts of like different collaboration. I mean, I think we have really good conversations about everything, and a lot of great information that other roofers and roofing experts, or whatever you want to call them, can pick up on. And yeah, if you guys want to reach out to Ben, if you're a roofing company, he does have a window division, which we're going to eventually, like right now, transitioning to giving them our window jobs. They do really good work. If you're a roofer and you're a part of our channel, reach out to Ben. If you have a question for him or need a window done, definitely reach out to him. If you need a roofing company, I mean, pick us. You're in great hands.
Let us put it out.
They're good guys. They'll take care of you.
But yeah, with that being said, do you have anything you want to?
No, I think it's great. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Do it again soon.
Yeah, we definitely have to do it
absolutely.
again.
It's always a good time with you guys.
Appreciate it. Guys, thanks you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the next one, part 2, hopefully, and maybe in Grand Junction.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All right.
Later.